The Gloucester Games. What started as a simple golf game between family members has grown into one of the most anticipated tournaments of the year. As the Davis family prepares to once again embark on this incredible journey, the hunger for victory has quickly taken over. With family bragging rights on the line, the quest for greatness has never been so fierce.
The fourth running of the event will take place later this month, but the games now have a new face, a new identity. Herb McCreary, a local legend from Gloucester who's made his name taming the North Shores of America.
But who is the man behind the yellow coat? Why is there so little known about the man who's quickly gone viral by supporting the Gloucester Games, with his story shifting from sailing the high seas to surfing the web? I'm Issac Fletcher, and today we will dive deep into the oceans of secrecy and untangle the fishing net of speculation that is the tale of Herb McCreary. The Davis family is having its ceremonial barbecue, where they will enjoy some summer fun before they're split into the respective teams in what is becoming an increasingly shorter week. The wicked smart lobsters and the salty dogs are friends at this time, but it will be a completely different scene once they've crossed the border into America and settled in at the venue in Gloucester, Massachusetts. Noticeably absent from the event is Gloucester's own Herb McCreary, who's back home preparing to host this gang of Canadians. The townspeople show no indication that they are excited, or even aware that there is an internet celebrity among them. I managed to meet up with Herb, and after a brief getting to know each other period over some friendly board games, we sat down to talk about his life, his legend, and his legacy.
I don't care about backgammon.
Now, we've all seen the videos on the internet, but people want to know about the real Herb McCreary. Tell us about yourself. About your childhood. Well, you know, Isaac, I had a very normal childhood growing up. My parents, Ulysses and Margaret McCreary, met in the line of duty in the U.S. Navy. You know, typical love story. I was born on a battleship on the USS Dyson. A couple of years later, my mother left my father for a Commander Theodore Crunch. He's been promoted to captain since then. And my father moved to Gloucester and became a harbour master, and that's where I grew up. Caught my first sea bass at the age of 3. 8 years old, I was raised by seagulls for a couple months, and got my first role as a sea captain at the age of 12. So, very, very normal childhood. I'm sorry, did you say raised by seagulls? Yeah. Seagulls. Tell me about that. It's a typical childhood story. At 8 years old, I got caught in a lobster trap underneath the dock, and no one could find me. So for 10 months, I was raised by seagulls. When they did find me, I could no longer speak English. I could only squawk at people, and I would scurry away when people got too close. The seagulls did teach me a lot about hard work, discipline, and loyalty. They also shared a lot of inside information as to how things run in the ocean and the whole pecking order. So, you got the great white shark at the top. He's the king. Right underneath him, surprisingly, is the octopus because of his smarts and his wisdom. Then you got seagulls and horseshoe crab, wolffish, sea stars, and right at the bottom of those morons they call ocean sunfish. So, once I understood the whole social structure of that, I then became a sea captain, and I used that information to have a very successful career on the high seas.
Well, speaking of the high seas, where I grew up in Yarmouth, the fishing industry collapsed, and the town was forced to rebrand itself from a fishing town to resort town. Do you see that ever happening here in Gloucester?
What are you talking about? It's fishing. It's what we do here. I don't know how things work over there in the United Kingdom, but over here, people like their fish, and the only way to get them their fish is to catch them. I mean, it's not like farming where you can just grow as much as you want in a contained environment. I mean, no, it's fishermen that got to do the job, and that's why we're here.
Now, you do realise that there's an entire industry focused solely on doing exactly what you just said. It's called fish farming. How did you get involved in the Gloucester Games?
So I was approached by one of the creators. His name is Andrew Davis. I'm up in Montreal in Canada. Very creative kid, wild imagination. And he created the games for his family. I wanted no part of it at first, but he persisted on having a local help make sure everything made sense and was possible. I had no intention of doing it, but then after the accident, I felt I had no choice but to participate.
What accident?
At one point, he came down here to meet me. We ended up going out on the water on my ship. At one point, Andrew thought he saw something shiny in the water and leant over to try and get it. Unfortunately, he fell overboard, and that's where we lost him. I have no idea what happened to him after that. Part of me hopes he's still out there, or maybe a fleet of humpback whales took him in as one of their own. But as hard as I've tried to find him, I haven't been able to do so.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
The worst part is the shiny object he saw was actually his gray hair reflecting off the water. It does look a little silver. He had the silver fox look going on. As I said, creative kid, but unfortunately, it's the imagination that got him.
Yes. What's next for Herb once the games are over?
Honestly, I'm not sure, Isaac. I think I might take a vacation after all these years. I hear the all-inclusive resort down south is a good time, and here you can still get a bit of fishing in too. So that's good. I hear they also have this drink down there called the Pina Colada, which, if I am correct, translates from Spanish to colossal penis. I hear it's a real man's drink, so I'm excited to give that a try.
My last question for you. What happened to the Unsinkable?
The Unsinkable 2, the Pug.
I told you I wouldn't talk about that.
And there you have it, the story of Herb McCreary. Join us next week as we speak with musical artist Roscoe Gatorbeat, whose album Honky Tonk Beat Trop has been tearing up the charts with his new genre of music known as house country.
I'll tell you, when the beat drops and that banjo kicks in, woo! Ain't no other sensation known to man. It's like being pistol whipped in the face with musical emotion, you know? I don't know if I'll ever go back to catfish wrangling. I mean, this whole thing's taken off to a whole new level. And that was the last time I ever went deer hunting on LSD.